What's up, guys? We're back with a Snowman Nutcracker. It's fully 3D printed out of PLA, no support. We're going to go through some of the design stuff, how to put it on your print bed, and then how to assemble it. And then we'll test it and make sure it can break some walnuts.
Let's look at the design. We've got this hat that just sits on top of its head, and then this tab in the back to help you grab the back. The rear piece is going to rotate about the pivot on the inside, and it'll sit flat, so it'll rock back in place on a table. And as it moves backwards, it opens this opening that you're going to put your nut into. And there's a lip in there to help keep it from spitting the nut out when you come back forward. But all this does is rotate forward and give you enough leverage to crush a nut in here. So the arms are just stuck inside in holes. So we can get rid of them. And the nose is just stuck on from the front. Again, just decoration in the socket. Inside of here, we've got a bunch of posts. And because we need to print everything on its side, I wanted to face these up and put the flat surface on the build plate so this could print up in the air and give you the spherical shape without any support. We made these pegs separate pieces. So we've got sockets in both sides, and we're just going to push in a peg and sandwich it between them, and it's going to interfere and be a nice snug fit and hold everything together. So we've got this split into 4 pieces. There's the 2 sides, which are mirrors of each other. Then you've got this middle guy that just has the 2 sockets in either side, and ours is printed in 2 materials. So right now, all of the black coal pieces are turned off. We've made them be below flush so that you can color them in, print the whole thing in white, and color them in with a Sharpie afterwards if you don't have 2 filament capability. This pivot is also a separate piece. So these sides have sockets for the corresponding pieces, and this one goes into the bottom. These 2 go into the middle piece with the face and the buttons. And then you've got this receptacle on either side for the pivot. And then the back just fits over the pivot and is held side to side by the sides. It's free to spin in here. And then you've got this bottom piece that has these thin pegs to hold it in place. That's how we could form it and make this cavity through the middle of it without having any support and get nice smooth sides and be able to hold tight tolerances so that this thing can move. Here's how this should look on your print bed. We're going to lay everything down on the flat sides. This piece, the actual cracker, it doesn't matter which side, as long as the hole needs to face up. The actual sides of the thing, we want the spherical parts facing up, and we're going to put it on the flat. All of these socket features are going to print to a point, so we can make the roof even though it's face down. Same with the middle, and this is the base. It's going to be the long skinny way on its side. It'll print one socket with that peaked roof, and this one doesn't matter which side it's on. Either side will be able to print one of the sockets down. If you don't have a multicolored printer that can print 2 different filaments on alternating layers, these features will still show up. The coal for the eyes and the smile and the button, and you'll have to color them in with a marker afterwards. The second plate, this is all on the pegs. So we've got the pivot, and it's got to be axis up. It's got tapered ends that help it stick into the side. And then all of these pegs, we've got to make sure that you can see the seam in the middle. They're drafted in both directions here. So we want them on the end so they can print like this. You can't lay them on the sides. So on the ends of these long skinny ones, the arms are going to sit flat on the bed, just like this. And then these pegs are drafted as well. So we want to see them like this. And then this guy, same thing. We want to print it with the draft and the vertical orientation. The hat prints just like this, down on the brim, and there's a cone inside. That's what lets you set it on top of the head, but that prints up to a point too, so this direction. And then this is the nose. It's got a diamond socket that's drafted, so put it in this orientation, it's got to face up, and that should take care of everything for you.
These are all the parts we should have printed. We've got 2 halves to the snowman. His face with the buttons down the front. This part, that is the nutcracker in the back. And this is the base. We've got these pegs, 2 of these long ones that hold the floor on, and then there's 2 of each other sides that are going to go in these holes to hold the whole thing together. They hold both sides on. 2 arms, a nose. This is the pivot and his hat. So we're going to start with one of the sides. It doesn't matter which one. And we're looking at these guys. You can see in the middle they have this line, and there's an angle going in both directions. So we want to put the drafted side in. We don't want to put this in crooked. So it's square and it goes in this hole at the top in his head. And then you could just push it all the way down. And then we're going to take one of these, and these are drafted in this direction. So you can see there's tapers, and you want one of the tapered ends going into this slot. And again, just put it in, push it all the way down. It's going to bottom out. So then we've got the middle. We want to point the face out. So the face goes on like this. It can't go backwards. Just put it over both posts and squeeze and get it really pushed down. You should have no space in this scene. Okay, these are drafted this way too. That's the line in the middle, and it drafts. So it'll fit down into this hole like so. Get it in that hole, push it all the way down flush. I think we could put the other side in at this point now too. So the opposite side, and just get them both pushed all the way in. So now this has this radius on the bottom that makes this surface the actual bottom that he'll sit on. And we want to make sure that this curve lines up with this curve. So it's going to go in this way. So just make sure that the radius is attached to the bottom. And then you can push this all the way in, and that's going to stay there. So the pivot goes in this hole. We'll push that down. And then we can put this hole right over the pivot. Get it in there nice and square and down. So this should move because that's the motion that's going to crack nuts for us. And then we've got to add 2 more pegs. So same as before, they're identical pegs. Push these down and make sure that they don't go in sideways and you get the angled surfaces going in. So now we look like this. We've got this pivot sticking out and then the 3 posts that hold it together. And we're going to take this opposing side and line it up with all of them and just smush it down. So make sure it's all squeezed together very tight. And now we should have a snowman. And if we pull on this tab on his head, that's going to pull him back and open this up. We've got the nose, which goes in this diamond shaped cutout. Just push him in snug. And then the arms, these are a loose fit. They just kind of are a deep hole, so they'll stay in there. And now he actually looks like a snowman. And last things last, we're going to put his hat on top of his head. Let's see what he can do. In order to use him, we're going to have to take the hat off. And then as we pull back on this tab, this opening will appear. And that's where we're going to put a nut in. So we put our nut in like this, and we bring him down. And voila, we've got a broken walnut.